Skills Training Videos welcomes you to this visual training presentation on the topic of forklift truck operation. The Forklift Truck Operator series has been developed in the interest of improving your knowledge and skills as a professional and world-class operator. In this module, you're going to learn to identify by name the basic parts and components that all go together in the construction of typical counterbalanced forklift trucks. A forklift truck is a vehicle that has been designed to move loads from place to place. The main design feature, from which this useful vehicle obtains its name, is the metal forks that project from the front of the machine. It is with these forks that a load can be carried. The forks are attached to a mechanism that permits the raising and lowering of the forks, plus a tilting action. We shall learn the proper terminology for mechanisms a little later in the module. Forklift trucks are purpose-specific vehicles, and the design and size is generally dictated by the size and shape of the loads that they will normally be moving. We will now look at the basic design features that make the forklift truck such a useful piece of equipment. In this program, we shall be concerned with the conventional types, also called counterbalance trucks. The term counterbalance means that any load that is lifted at one end of a mast or a lever is countered by a load at the opposite end of that mast or lever. In forklift terms, this means that the mass of the load lifted on the forks can never exceed the mass that lies behind the main axle, or the whole vehicle will topple forward. A forklift can, in many ways, be seen as a seesaw. On the one end of the beam is a load, and on the other is the mass of the machine, the pivot point being the main drive wheels. At the rear of every counterbalanced truck, there is a heavy mass piece called the counterweight. The sole purpose of the counterweight is to add mass to the vehicle behind the pivot point, thereby increasing the load lifting capability at the forks. Obviously, there are limits to the load lifting capability of a forklift. These limits are generally set by the physical size of the vehicle, the power generated by its engine or motors, and the power capability of its lifting mechanism or hydraulics. All forklift trucks are classified by codes. In the conventional range of counterbalanced trucks, there are 4 codes determined by the maximum mass that vehicles are designed to lift or move. Let's overview these. Code 1 refers to forklift trucks having a maximum lift capacity of up to 3 tons. The maximum lift rating is shown on the vehicle's specification plate. Code 2 refers to vehicles that have a lift capacity of between 3 and 7 tons. Again, we can check this by observing the vehicle's specification plate. Code 3 indicates any vehicle with a lift capacity of between 7 and 15 tons. And a Code 4 vehicle has a maximum lift capacity above 15 tons. Forklifts may have different wheel configurations, the most common being 4 wheels. Another popular configuration, particularly with Code 1 vehicles, is 3 wheels. All counterbalanced forklifts use their rear wheels for steering. The front wheels carry the bulk of the load and also provide the driving power. For this reason, the front wheels are also called the driving wheels. Some models have dual drive wheels. This feature is common with Code 3 and Code 4 vehicles. As we have already seen, the load is lifted and supported for transportation on a set of forks. The forks are carried on a fork carriage, which in turn is attached to a mast. The carriage is designed in such a way that it can ride up and down on the mast. Guide rollers keep the carriage running true to the mast. The carriage is lifted by the action of a large hydraulic cylinder called the lift ram. You may see that some vehicles have two or dual lifting rams. In both single and dual lifting mechanisms, power from the hydraulic ram or rams is transmitted through a heavy chain. The operator controls the lifting action as well as the lowering action simply by moving a lift control lever. The mast itself can also move or tilt backward and forward. The operator, using a tilt control lever, also controls this action. The actual power for tilting the mast is provided by tilt rams or cylinders. The mast is hinged to the vehicle's chassis upon sturdy pins. Some masts can extend in order to provide added height when stacking. A mast that has a single extension beyond the main section is known as a duplex mast. For even higher stacking, a vehicle can be fitted with a triplex mast. This type has two extensions beyond the main mast.